In this video we'll talk about some of the equipment that can be used for overseed in the yard. One of the biggest misnomers is that you can just throw seed on the yard and it will come up. If your yard is thin and weak, there is some truth to this, but if you have a fairly thick yard or a lot of thatch, that's not entirely true. Grass seed, like any other seed, has to make physical contact with the soil. If it does not make contact with the soil, it never germinates. If you've ever tried to throw seed and then you just don't see anything come up and you go, well, what's going on? You know, I threw seed, it didn't work. That's probably what happened. There are tools and equipment that are available to help aid and benefit that. The equipment that you see here is meant for more larger size yards, something over say 1/4 of an acre or out of a municipal lot. In most cases you use the walk behind equipment. I just didn't bring that out here. Everybody's seen that, the walk behind seeders and aerators. This is the bigger stuff for bigger lots, bigger yards, and I'm going to walk through what they do and how they work, and that way you can make an informed decision of when to call in somebody with this kind of equipment to help with your job. So the first one over here is a lot of people call it the plugger. It's the core aerator, and as you can see, it basically has these big tines that they knock out these huge cores, you know, about the size of your finger, out of the soil, you know, about 2 or 3 inches deep. The purpose of this is to loosen the soil, to aerate the soil, to improve water permeability, to improve nutrient absorption so that it doesn't run off, and to also allow air to get down, or oxygen to get down to the roots for better metabolization of the nutrients. This is typically done in the fall. Some do it in the spring. You want to do it when the soil is kind of soft and moist, so that it gets down, else you're only going to get, you know, about that much. You really want to get that much of the shank in. This one is better than the typical spiker. You know, the little bitty spikes you see, they don't really aerate. They actually compact more than they aerate, but they are actually good for helping to seed, where these kind of put the seed too deep. This is what you call the core aerator. The next piece of equipment here is what they call a Super Turf Renovator. And this one, the way it works is, if you see here, it's got all these little spikes, all right? And it actually makes little dimples in the soil that actually agitates the soil. It almost looks like you dethatch the soil when you run over it. So it makes all these little dimples, and you can change the aggressiveness of these tines. Then directly behind it, it drops the seed, as you can see back here with the seed hopper. And then in the back of it is another set of rollers that actually punches holes in the ground again and kind of firms the soil. The neat thing about this is that it actually allows the soil to loosen up, and it also, when it rains, causes the seed to wash into those little dimples. They're the exact right depth for seed, and a little bit of soil to wash over them to improve germination. This right here increases your yield from about 20%, which is typical, just throwing the seed over top of the ground if you got grass, to almost 90%. I do not seed anything without using this machine. Now there's another kind of machine too. It's called a slit seeder, which is PTO driven. I have one, I just didn't bring it up here. That it actually cuts little slits in the ground and it drops the seeds in the slits. I prefer this machine over the slit seeder because the slit seeder kind of gives you these linear lines in the yard, to where this is kind of it almost looks like hair plugs when somebody's had hair done or whatever. It looks like little hair plugs, and it gives a more, I don't know, uniform look instead of just line look in your yard. Then there's this guy. You've seen the videos of this. This is the Vari aerator. This guy is the Dalai Lama of aeration. He is the one that basically loosens the soil up and basically is the closest thing you can get to tilling the soil without actually disturbing your grass. This guy, I obtained him this year. Thus far, best money I have spent. I will tell you now that I'm going to be using this on most of my yards this year that's hard packed. I will use this before I use the cedar to help improve the yields. I'm already seeing a difference in a couple of my hard yards. I talked to a guy that I ran a yard over and he said he could see it already holding moisture better than it ever did before. There are walk behind versions of the slit cedar, not like this, but to cut the slits, and the walk behind of the plugger. You know, when you have small yards that you need to do, that you could use for small yards. Everybody's kind of seen them. Ryan makes one, MTD makes one, Clausen makes one. Just depends on your rental company, what you have. I have them as well, but basically this is what you use to help overseed your yard. It makes it a lot better than just trying to throw the seed, which I'm going to make another video showing the differences and how that works. But this gives you an idea of the equipment you can use for overseeding.